So firstly, you might be surprised to hear that it's not the first time that we've heard of the guy. He has already been in the Linux news, let's say it like that, when he sent an email to the kernel mailing list claiming that vaccines were bad and they were an experiment of governments that will make all of us humanoid. His email was so senseless that even Linus Torvalds himself wrote an angry reply saying that, well, first of all, this kind of bullshit, doesn't have any place in the Linux kernel mailing list, but even if it did, it still makes no sense at all because vaccines are, useful.
Okay, maybe the vaccine did not create a new humanoid race, but they did not help. They were dangerous, man. Let's start from the fact that you know the racist conspiracy theory, the one that you were banned from everywhere if you mentioned it, the one about COVID being made in a lab. Yes, turns out it was true. Number two, the vaccine did not work. It turned out that it did not work. It did not give you immunity. It did not help with the lethality of the virus. It was useless, completely useless. And herd immunity was the way to go. And the ones that benefited from it was Pfizer, Moderna, and all the others that together gained more than $1 trillion. A vaccine that was made in 9 months. By the way, nice. It's very nice what you did. A classic left-hand misdirection. He talks about the COVID-19 vaccine, so a very specific vaccine, and then you go, vaccines are useful. You talk in general. No, he was not talking in general. He was talking about a very specific one. The one that was made in 9 months. The one that was made mandatory. That if you did not have it here in Italy, you couldn't work, you couldn't go to university, you couldn't get out of your house, basically. You know that one, the Green Pass. They put here in Italy. They put it a little bit everywhere. They put the vaccine passport, the Green Pass, that went against everything in our constitution. No, you are Italian like me. You know the first article of the constitution. No, the right to work. The right to work was taken from us.
And I do want to stress that there's a difference between somebody believing that vaccines actually hurt or have more side effects than normal, and somebody who thinks that they're a tool of the government to make us humanoid. Those are pretty different stances, and I feel like the latter is a symptom of some kind of unease. This is the context that we're starting from.
They did not make us new humanoid forms, but probably there are evidence that suggests they did increase the risk of getting some sort of cancer. So, and blood clots and heart issues. So maybe you must be on the lookout for that. By the way, I am vaccinated because unfortunately I was dumb at the time, so I got the vaccine. But without they did it without my consent. They never, when you went there. They never talked about side effects. They just made you sign a thing that you couldn't assume if you died or something happened to you because of the vaccine. And then they did it. They never talked about informed consent. There was no informed consent in any way, shape, or form.
Last week, he decided to fork the X server project and make Xlibre, and he did so in the free desktop GitLab, where the X.org project is also hosted. And he had a bit of a readme to explain the project to other people, and in doing so, he explained that there were toxic members in the group, the X server group, and that they were preventing the project from moving forward. And he also started saying that there's corporate interest that wants to kill off the project, and he started criticizing indirectly but in a pretty clear way the companies that are currently supporting free desktop development. such as by saying that Xlibre is not affiliated with big tech or any of their subsidiaries or tax evasion tools, nor any political activist groups, state actors, etc. And then on top of that, he started injecting his own politics into it. We already had a hint of it when he said that vaccines make us subhuman, but he also said that this Xlibre project was going to get rid of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion.
Absolutely based.
And we do not want that to happen to our contributors, especially because a lot of the software that we all use, even transphobic people, is written by trans people. So let's maybe not let transphobic people harass them. And of course, he also decided to end the red me by saying, make X great again, mimicking Trump's slogan.
No! He mimicked Trump's slogan. He's literally a hacking Hitler. He's literally Hitler, guys. He's literally Mussolini. He quoted the Tangerine Tyrant. I can't believe it. I'm shocked. I need therapy. I need better help right now. I need it right now. I'm having a mental breakdown, Xir.
Come on. And obviously, even saying that you want to get rid of DEI is a political statement. There were quite some politics in this fork. Understandably enough, when the Free Desktop project and especially the Code of Conduct Committee realized that there existed a fork within the Free Desktop GitLab repository that implicitly criticized the Free Desktop project and even went against its very values of being inclusive to people and mimicked Trump's slogan, well, they decided against it. They deleted the fork and banned Enrico, who did not let that be an obstacle to Xlibre's success. Of course, he started claiming to be censored by Free Desktop. He did so in an email that is incredibly deaf to the actual reason he might have been banned. I have to read some quotes here. So much for freedesktop.org being independent and embracing freedom. Perhaps we should nominate them for the next Orwell Award. It's now clear that freedesktop.org is the Red Skirts and they want to kill X. By the way, the same corporation that tried to proprietarize a lot of free and open source code, including the Linux kernel. Which, And again, I feel like it's pretty important to say here that when you own a project, a GitHub instance, and when you decide that a GitLab instance, and you decide that somebody's values do not align with yours, and you decide not to host their project on your server, you're not censoring them. You're just saying, well, I'm not going to give you my free resources for your project that actively goes against my values. And it's not censorship. You can still use other instances. And that's what Enrico is doing. He just moved to GitHub. I don't exactly think that being banned from the Free Desktop repository is going to be a great damage to the Xlibre project, which is flourishing anyway, as much as such a project can flourish. All in all, I think that this Xlibre fork still has to prove that it can survive with the help of just this developer with very strong political ideas and that has a technical knowledge of the codebase that's maybe a bit debatable. Of course, he says that he's very good at it. He's going to bring a lot of improvements, but at the same time, other X11 developers says that, well, he hasn't brought new features so far. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see whether this project is able to reach the goal that it gave itself. But so I was talking about Brody. Brody made a point that banning this person from the Free Desktop repository was a very big mistake, because in this way they gave him much more force compared to just if they shut up about it, which is reasonable. However, at the same time, I don't feel like Free Desktop repository can just completely ignore what's going on their very own server, which goes against their very own values, just because they're scared to give them even more visibility by banning them. If it goes against their values, then it would be even more newsworthy to not ban them. Imagine the titles. Free Desktop decides to host a fork that goes against Free Desktop values, that is against DEI, and that has a Trump slogan. They just cannot allow that to happen. And one more thing. All of this was mostly reported by one right-wing, QAnon, anti-vax, anti-climate change tech journalist. I feel bad for using this term, but let's call call him a journalist.
These are the people I want to remind you that they say they are against big corporations, but during pandemic they were worshipping, and use this word in the full sense. They were worshipping Pfizer, and of course the god science.